Hi there, Andre here from Peak Motorcycles. It's the middle of winter here in the UK. We've got 3 storms blowing through in a week with 50-mile-an-hour plus winds. We've had, I think, 1.4 million homes without power as a result. So it's not really great riding weather. Today we've just got heavy rain all day and high winds all day. So I'm going to try and do a video. It has been really noisy when it starts hailing, just beating on the roof and the windows of the garage. And if you see my post on Instagram, you'll see just how loud it gets. Anyway, I'm going to have a go at doing this video today. So what I'm going to do in this video is talk about these. This is a Rotopax fuel container. If you're in the US, you probably see these a lot. If you're in Europe, you see them less frequently, but you might have heard about them. It's essentially a 3.8 litre, 1 US gallon fuel tank designed for, well, anything really, but this one specifically is designed to fit a motorcycle. So in this case, what I'm going to look at is the Rotopax canister itself and what those do. I have this, which is a big piece of metal, which is a Rotopax Deluxe mount, and this is the piece that actually secures the tank to something. This is the other bits that come with the Rotopax mount, which I don't think actually need this plate. And then the last thing is that I don't need the plate because I have this, and this one in particular is going to fit on my Outback Motortek Panniers on my CRF300 Rally. If you have the pannier frames on a CRF300 L, it would also fit, and actually, because of the size of the fuel tank on the L, this might even be more relevant for that bike. At the moment, I get more than 200 miles out of a tank of fuel on my Rally, probably 250, even pushing 300 if I'm careful. So having another 3.8 litres, most of the time in the UK, it's completely pointless. However, if going further afield, especially where there's going to be bigger gaps between fuel stops, having an additional fuel tank might be useful. You can also get water tanks like this. I have a 3.8 litre water tank, which I could put on the same mounting if that was something that I needed. But yeah, it only fits on the outside. It only fits on the side away from the exhaust. On the exhaust side, the exhaust is in the gap. And this is actually quite thick, so yeah, I did try it and it doesn't fit. So this is the fuel can. What I'd like to show you is this spout, which sounds like a silly thing that's probably not even worthy of a video, but I think they've done such a good job of this. And this is probably, for me at least, one of the main differentiators of having the original Rotopax over some of the copies that are out there. So first of all, the cap is secured in place. I don't know if you can see on there, but there's teeth all the way around this rim. And you just drop that little catch back, and then you can unscrew the cap. So that bit comes off. And then out of here comes this spout. So the first thing I'm going to do is just take that cap off the end of there. Now, before I fit this back to the can, I'm just going to show you how it works. So when you actually put this on, fuel isn't going to come out of it. So it does have an extra safety mechanism on it. To get the fuel to come out, you actually have to turn this locking ring and then slide that up. So I don't know if you can see that on there. Hopefully you can. I turn the locking ring there, and then this whole bottom section comes up, and that's actually the bit that opens up on the inside. You won't see that bit once it's fitted to the can, but nevertheless, it's got a rubber seal around there, so that's going to be a good fit. I'm just going to pop that on there and put that on there. So I'll show you on here. In order to get to get gas to come out of it, you have to just turn that locking ring this way and then just move the whole spout down. Now, it looks a bit awkward when I'm doing it on here, if you can see it on there, but if you imagine, if you're actually doing that into your fuel cap, it means that you can have it locked off, so you've got no fuel coming out, and then you just spin that round and just push it up, and as soon as you see your tank's full, you can release it again. So it sounds like such a silly thing, but it means that you're not going to pour petrol everywhere. If you have got more gas in here than you actually want to put in your tank, you can just put in a smaller amount, and it just seems to be a really neat design for that, to make that work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reassemble this spout mechanism and put it back on, and then I'm going to show you how to fit the plates to the bike. So these are the pieces that I need to assemble. So this is the Rotopax Deluxe mount. It's got the 2 spinners on there. It's got the holes in the bottom where it's just going to bolt to this plate. If you have any other rack that has the same spaced holes that you can fit these to, I know that the Rally Raid rear rack for the Honda CRF300 Rally and Rally will also take one of these, although it'll be mounted horizontally, then this will fit. Now, these Rotopax mounts, they are really sturdy, so I know some people aren't going to like this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm just going to weigh it and let you know how much they weigh. So the Rotopax Deluxe mount on its own is 425 grams. add a couple of bolts, 469 grams. So that's basically just the Rotopax on its own, 470 grams-ish. And then if I put the weight of the X-frame on there, that is another 375. Everything altogether is 847. I'm sure someone will ask me how much an empty fuel can weighs. So the empty fuel can is just over a kilo, 1,020 grams or thereabouts. So that's that done. Apologies to anyone who thinks the weighing thing is silly. You know, please some of the people some of the time. So the next thing I need to do is assemble it. So when it goes onto the bike, it actually goes on with this face pointing outwards. I'm going to mount it on the inside. I'm going to put this on vertically, and I'll show you why in just a second. So I'll put that in place, get these bolts in. As you can tell, I've got a little bit of thread lock on. I just put some of this blue thread lock on these bolts because I don't really want them to come off. I did assemble it once the wrong way round, and that will come out of the edit. But yeah, if you're wondering why there's already a bit of thread lock on here or why I'm not reapplying it, it's because of that. Now these bolts are actually 1/2 inch, so halfway between a 12mm and a 13mm socket if you're in the UK. Or in somewhere that doesn't use inches. I don't, so again, apologies to anyone who doesn't like me using adjustable wrenches, but I think having one of these I think is better than trying to use a 13mm and taking the corners off the bolts. I should probably just get an Imperial socket set, but to be honest, nearly everything I get, whether it's from Japan or Thailand or Europe or the UK, everything is metric. It's only the occasional things that come from the US that aren't. So lucky you guys in the US, you probably already have 1/2 inch sockets coming out of your ears. Over here, not everyone has one, including me. So that's it. So that is in. Now, the reason that I mounted it this way up is if you imagine this is the inside of the bike, seats up here, wheels down there. When this tank is actually mounted, I want to mount it that way up. And this will make sense once it's on the bike because the tank is then at a fillable position and it's going to be easy to access. Right then, next thing is to fit this to the bike with these little locking cams that fit around the bars. So I'll show you how that works, but I'll do this bit fast because it's already been covered once in my Outback Motortek Pannier frame video. So last time I actually did this on a bench because this was a little bit fiddly. Let's see if it's a bit easier today. Oh, that's not so bad. And then these cams just lock in. What I'll do is I'll do it up, but not so tight that they don't move, and then I can fit the fuel tank to it and just see how much room I actually have. So just doing these up lightly so it stays in place. Now I'm going to put this fuel tank in, and essentially I want to be able to fill this up when I'm filling the bike up. I don't want to have to remove it every time I'm filling up, just because I think that's an extra bit of faff. So I'll pop that in there. And there we go. So I think that needs to fit, well, pretty much on there. What I did notice was on this top corner, you see that on the camera, was on this top corner. Let's tilt the camera up a little. What I did notice on this top corner is that when you're actually taking it on and off, there's not actually that much clearance through onto the bike. And then on this side, it's actually right up against it. So let's see how, yeah, I think I can actually make that work, but it's got to be pretty much right at the very back. So before I do that, I'm just going to lift this spinner off. Okay, there we go. So that is now pulled out far enough so it will fit in. What I do need to do now is just to do that up. I'll slide it back so it's not quite touching there, but so it's almost, I've got like a millimetre or so to play with. And then I just want to make sure that I can take it off there easily enough once it's done up. So okay, that's in as it should be. Do that up on the back like that. Okay, so that is very firmly secured in place on the bike. Let's see how easy it is to take off. So I'm just going to undo, you can't see this, but believe me, I'm undoing the outer adjuster on the mount. There we go. And, well, it does come out. It's not that convenient, but honestly, between the two restrictions of this bit of bodywork under here and the back of the rack, I don't think there's a lot of other choice. I'm sure it would get easier with a bit of practice. Can I get that in there? Oh, there we go. So yeah, it's just making sure you get that top corner through, and then it's actually pretty easy to get on. So locking off on the inside, just doing the outer tightener up, and there we go. So one thing I've just noticed now I've done that up is it's actually pushing against this, which is meaning I've got a bigger gap at this end. So I'm going to undo these bolts, just slide it back so that the fuel tank doesn't catch on those. Otherwise, as I'm doing it up, I can see that those are actually digging in, which is not ideal. So I'm going to take that off again. And actually what's happened there is I've actually undone it to release it, and it's right at the end of the thread. So yeah, I think that definitely does need to be clear of those, because you don't want that coming off or not having much thread inside. So it's just that bit in there. So if I slide that back so that the tank clears it. Though I haven't actually checked it, I think it does clear the swing arm, but it's really tight. There isn't a whole lot of space in there. So I will test that before I actually take this out in anger. What you don't want is the chain protector clattering into the bottom of the fuel tank and puncturing it, or just giving you a very hard landing. Okay, so that is now clear on this point. It's not up against that bolt. Yeah, that's much better. So, and what that does mean is that you can still take that off, and you can refuel when you're refueling your bike without having to remove the fuel tank each time. So, and this won't be relevant to many people, I just wanted to check whether my Enduristan Monsoon Evo panniers would still fit with this fitted. So what I'm going to do first of all is see if I can fit it with the fuel tank done up using the upper half of the clip, because that's a much narrower bit to fit through that gap. If that doesn't work, I'm just going to try loosening the fuel tank a bit, putting this back on, and then seeing if that works. So I'm just going to do this very quickly without any speaking, which I'm sure some will find a blessing. Hopefully you can see that. That is with the Enduristan Monsoon Evo pannier fitted. And yeah, that is okay on the back there. What I'm going to do is just try and tighten it up. Yeah, so it does fit. It is quite snug. I think there is still enough clearance for the chain guard, but I will check that. Now, I don't know if you can see that down through there. I think I've got the camera in about the right line, but I think that is really close to the chain guard. Now, I have the H2C chain guard on the bike, which I think might be slightly broader than the stock one, but I think that is almost too close. If I come around the side, put my fingers on it so you can kind of see it, this is the chain guard down here, and I think that line up past the fuel tank is actually too tight. So I think what I might have to do is find a narrower chain guard, because this one is quite meaty. I think I'll probably try the stock one to see if that makes a difference, and maybe that's something I have to put on when I'm using the extra fuel tank. So just before I finish, I'll give you a quick look so you can see exactly how that looks on the bike. As I mentioned before, I think that is a little bit close, that chain guard, to the fuel tank. But if I let you have a look at how that fits in, otherwise I think it's very tidy. It does fit in with the panniers, which is nice. I did think that if I'm going somewhere where I'm going to need the extra fuel capacity, chances are I'm going to be taking these bigger panniers anyway. And yeah, just to let you know, I mean, it's very snug, no question of that, but I don't think that is a problem here. You know, if I could show you just under there, or maybe just in from here, you can see that it's basically the bottom of the tank is actually pressed up against where the panniers clip to the frame. If I show you down here again, you can see where the guard is here, and I think, well, it depends on the angle, right? I'll check it. I'll probably get a strap on it, see if I can pull the swing arm all the way up. But I think right now that is too close. If you can see on there, the chain is actually all the way over to the right hand side of the chain guard, so you know there probably is a centimetre at least, if not of space, where a chain guard could safely be, where it would definitely clear that. I don't know if the guys at Outback Motortek have tried this and actually put a Rotopax fuel can on, but I'd be interested to know just how much clearance that they think that there is between the edge of the fuel tank and the chain. So that's it, that's my video on how to fit a Rotopax Deluxe mount and a 3.8 litre 1 gallon fuel can to the X-frames on the Outback Motortek Pannier frames for the Honda CRF300L and Honda CRF300 Rally. I think it's a pretty good system. It's a very convenient place to store some extra fuel. It keeps the centre of gravity low, it uses up that space on the inside of the pannier frame. I know you can get fuel bladders that you can put on a rack and other places on the bike, but it's just moving the weight higher up. On the Rally, where you already get quite a big fuel tank, I think it's 12 point something litres, another 3.8 means there's another 17, 18, maybe even 90 miles of range, which suddenly I think would push it beyond 300 miles or 500 kilometres, which is not bad for a bike like this. I think if you have the 300L and you have one of these, then I think it probably helps a lot as well, because the tank is so much smaller to begin with. So you can also install this on a rack as long as you've got the mounting holes. You use exactly the same mount, you just put them through that mount instead. It's not perfect. I think there are some challenges, particularly around fitting it, making sure it clears the swing arm, and then depending on how your panniers clip to your pannier racks, it might get in the way of that. None of those I think are things that can't be worked around, and if you needed the extra fuel capacity then you'd find a way. I know that I certainly will. I think the spout and the fuel can itself from Rotopax is actually really good. Having that ability to control the fuel flow when you're refueling your bike and being able to fill it up while it's already fitted, I think is great. Anything like that makes your life a little bit easier, reduces the risk of fuel going anywhere, is probably a good thing. So I hope this has been interesting and useful. I know how much I like it whenever people keep going on about liking and subscribing, so this is the last time I'm ever going to mention it. If that's your thing, please do. If not, that's completely fine as well. I hope the video has been useful, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.